I got a question here from Brent, one of my students, who says, "There, Alexander, thank you so much. I have learned a lot of Elementor skills from your lessons, but I don't know how to use Elementor to add blog-related pages. Can you demo how to use Elementor to create the following templates: a categories post template, single post page template, as well as a sidebar template, including recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, and how you can apply these templates to blog pages?" Well, Brand, thank you so much for your question, and yes, I can show you, and in fact I am going to show you now how you can use Elementor to build out these templates. Hello and welcome to the Web Monkey Show. My name is Alex, and today we have Elementor back in the house, and specifically I'm going to show you exactly how you can use Elementor to build out certain kinds of templates for your categories, posts, and also for your sidebar. Alrighty, so how exactly do we create a template for our blog posts? Well, before I show you how to do so, let me point out a few things. Now, for the purposes of this particular video, I have created 3 sample posts. We have the art of the hacker, mobile cybersecurity, as well as what is phishing. I've also created 3 sample categories: attacks, hacking, and mobile. And then each post actually has tags associated with them. Now you can see right now that the template on display right here is pulled from the theme. So if WordPress can find a template associated with Elementor for your posts, it will use the themes template by default. So we need to change that. I have also installed and activated a certain plugin. This plugin is known as the WP Discuss plugin. It's used for basically making the comment section modified and enhanced, and I'll tell you exactly why I chose to go with this plugin later on. It's not terribly important, so you don't need to go ahead now and install this plugin. I will tell you exactly why I did so much later, and then if you feel like you need the plugin, you can go ahead and install it as well. All right, now before I actually begin to create the template for our posts, I'm going to do something very quickly. You see this header right here where we have the logo and then we have a menu. I like the structure. I like the way this was built out. So I'm going to save this header and reuse it on the template for our blog post. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to click on Edit with Elementor. Alrighty. And now let's wait for this to load. Okay. Now over here right now, this is the section containing the menu and the logo. So right where you have the edit section button, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to say save as template. Let's do that. Save as template. And then we can give it a name. So I'm going to say global header, maybe. Let's save that. Okay, so now we can reuse this header over and over again as much as we want. Awesome. Now let's go to the actual back end. And let's get started. So I'm going to jump over here to where we have templates. I'm going to click on add new right here. All right, so over here right now, we can choose to create a specific kind of template. So you have page, section, header, footer, archive, single. If you're going to create a template for your categories, your archives, and so on, you'd go with archive, all right? But since we're dealing with posts, I'm going to go with single. So I'm going to click on single. And then for the post type, I'm going to go with post just to confirm that. And then the template name, I do have single post right here. So I'm going to just use single post as a template name. Let's create a template. And we are good to go. All right. So by default, Elementor will provide you with a few pre-built templates that you can just simply insert and it will work perfectly. So you can see right now, these all look actually pretty good, I must admit. So if you like any of these, you can just simply click inside, take a closer look. And if you like the way this looks like, for example, just go ahead and hit insert. It's as simple as that. But I'm not going to do this. I'm going to create a template from scratch. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can build your very own custom template. So I'm going to go back to the library. Now I'm going to click on my templates over here. And guess what? I'm going to go ahead now and insert the global header, which we just saved. So I'm going to go ahead now and insert the global header. Click yes over here. And there you go. Just like that, we now have our logo and we have our menu. Awesome. All right. So how do we now actually begin to build this template? Let's go over to our elements block. So over here where you have single, we have access to a variety of different kinds of data for our posts. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to drag the featured image element. I'm going to dump that right in here. So we have the featured image. So Elementor will pull in the latest post that you've published. So this is the one right here. This is a pretty large image. You can reduce the size if you want to, but I'm going to leave it on large. I kind of like the way it's so big. Let's go back to our elements. And then under the featured image, I'm going to go ahead now and drag the post title. Let's drag that right underneath there. All right, so the title of this post was Art of the Hacker. Okay, let's align that to the center, make this an H2. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Actually, much bigger. Art of the Hacker. Okay. And then for some effects, I'm just going to go ahead now and add some letter spacing. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Let's go back to our elements. Now, under the title, I'm now going to display the date the post was published, the tags, the categories, things like that. So to access that, we're going to go with the post info. So I'm going to drag post info underneath Art of the Hacker. So by default, we have the author, date, time, and then comments. I'm going to remove time because for me, it doesn't make sense. I'll remove time. And now we don't see the categories or the tags associated with this particular post. So to pull that information, I'm going to click on add item. And then the type, I'm going to go with terms. And then under terms, I'm going to choose the taxonomy. I'll go with categories. All right. Now, the cool thing here is you can actually also add some text to stress that, yes, this is the category of this particular post. So where you have before, I'm going to type in category space and then a dash. Okay. So you can now see we have category hacking. Awesome. I'm going to add another item again. Once again, it's going to go with terms. Taxonomy is going to be tags. Before, I'm going to type in tags and then dash, and there you go. So we now have the tags associated with this particular post. You can change the icon, by the way. You can go with the custom and just come down here and then choose a very specific kind of icon you want to associate with the tags. Let's see. Which one am I going to use? I don't know. We'll just use Firefox. I don't want to spend too much time over this. Okay, so cool. Let's go back to the style over here. So the alignment, let's go with the center. All right, so we have the author, the date, number of comments. Actually, let's remove comments. Let's go back to content. I'm going to remove comments. Okay, so all right, so we have the author, the date, the category, and then the tags. Awesome. Okay, so this is already looking pretty cool. Now we have the option of going back to our elements and simply dragging in the post content if we wanted to. However, if you would like to add a sidebar template as well with your posts, what I would recommend over here right now is you can simply go with the intersection element, drop that in here, okay? And then what you can do is you can simply save, let's say for example, let's go with this 66 by 33. So your content area would be 66% and then the sidebar will be 33%. You can of course change this by simply coming over here, make sure you have this icon displayed, and then you can simply click and then drag to change the individual widths of the column. So for example, you can go with 75 by 25. All right. And then from here, very simply, I can go back to my elements, drag the post content, and then drop it right inside this first column right here. So now you can say I have the content for this particular article. Pretty cool. And then over here to the right, we'll deal with the sidebar in just a moment, okay? Don't you worry. I'm going to scroll all the way down here, go back to our elements. Now, if you wanted to, you could drag the author box and drop it inside the new section over here if you wanted to. However, I don't have like a featured image for myself. I don't have a bio, so this looks kind of out of place. But if you do have authors listed on your website, they have featured images, they've got their own bio, this might be a pretty good way to introduce the author of the post to whoever read the post or whoever read the article. But I don't like this. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. We don't need that. One other thing I can add in here, obviously, will be the post navigation. So I'm going to drop that in here. So we have the post navigation. So you can change the style, of course, make the text in here big if you want to. Let's go with the typography, for example. We can change the size. So the reason why you don't see next is because this was the last post that was published. So if I was viewing maybe the second post, you would see previous for the very first post and then next for the third post. But because this is the third and final post on my website, you don't see the next on display. So I just wanted to point that out. So cool, we've got the post navigation in there. Feel free to customize this any way you want to. I'm going to go back to my elements. And then finally, we can also add some sharing buttons, right? We also want to make sure that users can share our posts on social media. So I'll drag the share buttons element right here. And this color looks so out of place. I'm going to go and center this first of all. Let's change the style. Okay, let's go up to style. And then under color, I'm going to change official color to custom color. So primary color right here, I'm going to go with the orange color. Let's move this a bit up here. I think this should be fine. Okay. And then secondary color, I'm going to go with black, which would be for the actual text itself. There's a few other things you can, of course, customize in here if you want to. Let's go back to content. So you can change the label and say, I don't want to show any labels. I'll just show the individual symbols of the social media platforms if I want to. You can show the number of times they've been shared if you want to. I don't want to spend too much time going over this, so just feel free to explore all the options available in here. Now, last but not least, we also have the post comments. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to drag this right here and dump that in there. So here's the thing. Elementor, at this point in time, don't have a specific way of styling the comments. So if you're going to display your comments, what's going to happen is Elementor will simply display the comments the way they'll be displayed normally on your website without Elementor. So the reason why I chose to install the WP Discuss plugin that I told you about earlier is because WP Discuss has a much better way of displaying your comment section than WordPress by default. So that's why I chose to install WP Discuss. However, if you're using a theme that has a very nice way of displaying your comments by default, then you don't need to install the WP Discuss plugin. So I'm just putting that out there. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the template. Now let's take a look at the sidebar and what you can do for your sidebar. Let's go back to the elements. So over here, Elementor actually provides you with the sidebar element. Let me just find, okay, it's over here. So you can simply drag that in here and then drop it inside your sidebar. And then you can choose the sidebar that you want to display. So by default right now, I do have the search widget, recent posts, recent comments, archives, and so on. The challenge here is that just like with your comments, Elementor at this time doesn't have a way of styling your individual widgets. So right now, this of course looks a little bit out of place with the styling I have for the actual content. So what you can do is, if you're in this kind of scenario, you could either apply custom CSS, but if you don't know how to apply custom CSS, the best thing you can do right now would just be to, let me just delete that element. what you can do is very simply just add the items individually. So for example, let's say I wanted to display the search bar, just as an example. I could simply come over here, go back to my elements, right? Let's scroll down here. Let's look for the search bar. I believe it's all the way down here where you have sites, and then, all right, so we have the search form. Okay, so I can drop the search form in here, okay, and then I can style this. Let's go with minimal. Actually, let's go with full screen. Full screen. Add the alignments to the right. Okay, so let's say I wanted to display my recent posts, just the titles and maybe a short excerpt of my recent posts next. What I can do is I can go back to my elements, and then I can scroll down over here till you have Pro, okay? And then I can drag posts right in here inside my sidebar, okay? And now, before I do this, actually, let's go back to the elements. I'm going to drag the heading, drop that just above, and I'm going to call this the recent posts. Okay, I can make this an H3. All right. So now let's edit the actual post themselves. So over here right now, I'm going to go with the one column. So we have the featured image, we have some excerpt, we have the title, the comments section, comments and the date. So I can come over here right now and remove the comments from that one. So we only have the title and then the date and then the short excerpt. The excerpt length as well, you can modify this if you wanted to. You can change the number of posts. So I can go with maybe, just for the purposes of this, let's go with just one, just as an example. But now you can see that the recent post right here is the exact same post that we're currently viewing. So if you want to avoid something like this, what you can do is you can close the layout, jump over to query, and then over here, click on exclude. And then inside this box right here, just click inside and then choose current post. So exclude by current post. So Elementor will then choose the next post. So this way you avoid having duplicates. You can also use the offset feature right here as well. You can click avoid duplicates in here as well, just to avoid constantly repeating the same posts over and over again. So let's go back to the elements. So again, you've got access to a wide variety of different kinds of elements in here. You can add your videos, you can add an image, a header, different ways of adding content to your sidebar if you want to. However, let me just stress here that if your sidebar isn't necessary, then you might just be better off just displaying your content full width without a sidebar. Again, there is no right or wrong option in here. If you feel like you need a sidebar, go for it. If you feel like, well, a sidebar is not necessary, then you're probably better off not displaying a sidebar at all. So what I'm going to do here is, well, I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this entire section, this entire column. I don't need this column. I don't need the sidebar. I only did that just to show you how you would add a sidebar. Okay, before we round this up, I'm going to add a very quick, cool feature to the featured image. So I'm going to click inside in here, and what I'm going to do is under advanced, I'm going to click on motion effects. Now, I know I haven't talked about this, but Elementor very recently, a few days ago actually, introduced scrolling effects and mouse effects where you can create some really astonishing cool animations for your elements. Don't worry, I'll make a very separate tutorial on how to make use of this, but very quickly, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on scrolling effects. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to go over to transparency, click on the pen, go to fade out, yes, and then level 10. That's right, I'm going to go all the way in here. So what this does is whenever anyone begins to scroll down, you can see that the featured image starts to fade out. And ooh, I love that feature. Let's do it again. Look at that. Haha. Scroll down, the featured image goes. Ooh, I love that. All right, so that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and add that effect. And I think the template right now is good to go. We have everything in place. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead now and hit publish. And okay, so right now we have to choose the condition. Where exactly would you like to use this template? So by default, Elementor will say, well, do you want to use this template on all your posts? So yes, you typically want to say, yeah, you click on save and close. However, if there is a certain kind of post that you don't want to use this particular template for, you can just come in here, add a condition, change include to exclude, and then you can go with, in here, you can go with post, where you have posts, just go with posts. And then in here, you can search for the particular post, just type in the keywords, and then you can just choose that post, and then Elementor will not use this template for that particular post. So again, you can use this template for your regular post, your pages, media, category, things like that. So if you wanted to use this template for a very specific category, for example, what you would do here is, let me just close this. You would go in here in category, for example, and then you would choose the specific category that you want to use this particular template for. So you can use different templates for different categories if you wanted to. I'm just gonna go with all posts and save and close. And voila, that is it. Let's have a look at what we have. And there you go. Scroll down, and that is it. Let's click on the next, or rather the previous post right here. Let's see. And there you go. Scroll down, the image goes, and there you go. So that's exactly how to create a template for your WordPress posts. To create a template for your categories or your archives, it's pretty much the same process. All you need to do is to come down here to templates, click on add new. And then over here, you would choose archive instead. Okay, so choose archive and then template name. I can say archive template, just as an example, create template. And again, Elementor will provide you with some pre-built layouts. I'm going to ignore them. I'll go with my templates, go ahead and set my global header, first of all. Okay, so now over here, because you're creating a template for your archive, Elementor will automatically add the archive section with 3 different kinds of elements you can use specifically for your archives. So from here right now, I can first of all go with the heading. I can just drag this in here, and I can call this, for example, blog posts. As an example, let's align this to the center. Let's make this pretty big as well. Okay, oh, that's a bit too big. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back to elements. Now under archive, I can drag the archive posts and then simply drop that in here. And then from here, you can modify the way you want to display your posts, how many of them, how many columns, and so on. And then once you're done, just hit publish. And then in here, you will have to set your condition. So click on add condition right here. And then you can specify, okay, do you want to display this on all your archives, which would be your author archive, date archive, post archive, categories, tags. Or you can be more specific and simply say, no, I want to go with a specific kind of author. So you click on author archive. And then in here, you can search for the name of the author and then simply add that condition. So you can fully customize where you want to use a particular kind of template, whether it's for your regular archives, your categories, search results, and so on. And then once you're done, just hit save and close, and that's pretty much it. So that's how you would create a template specifically for your archives. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I go live. And if you'd like to buy Elementor Pro, I do have a link in the description box below where you can buy Elementor Pro at a discount. My name is Alex. It's been a pleasure teaching you how to use Elementor, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.